To Trading Caps exclusive analysis. In today's video, we're discussing the crypto market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the total crypto market, Mara, Coinbase, MSTR, a couple of other things in between. Looking at the Bitcoin price action, everybody is on the back of the crypto hype train. Bitcoin has been a stellar performer in 2024, absolutely pretty much face ripping and leaving every single asset class in the dust. Simply speaking, from this January 2024 low, Bitcoin has had a stellar move to the high side, currently up 76.44%, even leaving the likes of Nvidia in its wake. If you had to do Bitcoin's move up from the start of the year, which is roughly around this January candle, Bitcoin's still up a whopping 63%, actually underperforming Nvidia just slightly, but definitely still outperforming most different stocks and asset classes, broadly speaking. Now, where are we trading at Bitcoin? What level is this? Why is it important? Because we're at the all-time high, previous all-time high, double top pivot high. This is an area, technically speaking, that should keep Bitcoin in check for at least a little bit here, at least a couple weeks, in my opinion. And what was interesting is when we saw that initial price point go up to that 69,000 level, it actually had a huge rejection and sell-off back down to 59. So you saw a massive dump on Bitcoin as soon as we hit that area. My best guess from a technical analysis standpoint, a lot of those sellers likely aren't all out. There's likely going to be more distributive price action in this range, which is why we've seen Bitcoin try breaking out here, got rejected. Bitcoin tried breaking out again, got rejected. So we are seeing still some signs of selling and distribution in this range, which is what you have to be very, very mindful of when you're trading into these parabolic overbought ranges. Now, Bitcoin's daily RSI putting in a little bit of a bearish divergence. Weekly RSI, to note, is still extremely elevated, even on a historical basis. Not at your all-time high extremes, but still very, very extreme and into a massive resistance point. When Bitcoin hit this extreme, it didn't have any previous resistance points that it was trading into. That previous all-time high pivot on the RSI was when it had this blow-off move here. So there was no previous resistance points that Bitcoin is trading into. Now Bitcoin has an extreme RSI reading well over 88 when it hit the high, but you're into a previous all-time high pivot, double top. So you do have resistance. So it likely means that we're probably going to get a sell side program. Now, looking at this RSI divergence on Bitcoin, notice when we sold off from the highs, it was only during this little brief sell-off period. But that brief sell-off period was still 30% to correction over roughly a 1, 2, 3, 4 week span. So hypothetically speaking, let's say we go through that similar correction, a roughly, a 30% correction in 4 weeks. That should put us basically back down to about 50K or the bottom of this parallel channel. That would make a lot of sense to retrace back to the previous resistance that kept you in check. And let me be clear. This channel here did reject us off of resistance right off this weekly topping tail, and then you blasted through it. So naturally, price action does like to retest where it previously broke. So now that this resistance slips to support, it should retest there, which does indicate that we could see a down move occurring in the crypto market cap. Even when you look at Ethereum, one thing I want to compare is this parallel channel, pivot low to pivot low, pivot high to pivot high. This is a perfect symmetrical channel. Over here, Bitcoin ended up getting rejected right at the top of this channel. Okay, just keep this pivot high weekly reversal on the top of your mind. So Bitcoin got rejected there. Take a look at where Ethereum is trading into right now. Look at that beautiful resistance. Pivot to pivot to pivot. You're right at the top of the channel for the first time. Now, obviously, we all know Bitcoin blasted through into the high of its channel, but the first time it tested the top of its channel, Bitcoin got rejected. So just like Ethereum's now testing the channel for the first time, like Bitcoin did here, Bitcoin got rejected. Ethereum should also get rejected off of this zone, a little bit of a check back, and then it has a bigger move and breakout to the upside. So just because something is at resistance and you lean more slightly bearish because there's likely going to be a market cycle correction based off of previous patterns and cycles, doesn't mean that price action can't check back and continue higher and remain bullish. If you look at the total crypto market cap, wielding a whopping 2.5 trillion in the total crypto market cap, look where the crypto market cap is. For the first time, this is also retesting its previous parallel channel. Pivot lows, pivot lows, pivot highs, pivot highs. So for the first time, it's retesting this channel. You likely get a pullback in this overall trend. A very, very strong pullback is likely going to occur in the overall crypto market. If we look at some of the crypto stocks, likes of Mara, although Mara did have a positive day on Friday, despite the relentless strength in crypto making new 52-week highs, look at Mara having a down week on the session, down 13%. Obviously, this had earnings, trickling in, continuing to see weakness. But then when you look at Coin as well, Coin diverging, pushing higher here. MSTR also acting well and pushing higher. So Mara is showing a lot of signs of distribution weakness, and Mara has a very, very high degree of short interest, along with a lot of these other names. But then when you look at Coin and MSTR, they're actually performing exactly in line with the crypto market. So what does that mean? Well, that likely means that if the crypto market does go through some sort of a downturn or some sort of a correction, Mara is going to be a much, much likelier target to see more downside, considering that it's relatively weak already when crypto is strong. So, you may see Mara get a small pop at some point, but this one's looking much, much more relatively weak compared to its peers. So I'm certainly watching to see how that one reactions, because there could be something underlying that is occurring in the stock, like maybe a shelf offering by the company, which dilutes shareholders, which would be a great opportunity to catch on the short side. If you're short a stock and the board sadly announces a dilution of shareholders, that causes the stock to decline pretty precipitously. So that could be a catalyst as to why we're seeing the stock under pressure in the near term. So overall, I think that Bitcoin, if we look at the grand scheme of things, most people are bullish going into the halving. I think you kind of historically have to be, but on a historical basis, typically, 6 months before the halving, you actually get a really, really big sell-off, and then post halving, you actually get the big move. So I think that Bitcoin's reached kind of its upside potential as of now going into the halving, but I think sometime from now into the halving, we get a very, very big pullback and then a bigger move to the upside that makes new, clear, distinctive all-time highs. Not some peekaboo little breakout which gets rejected. I'm talking about weekly establishing a weekly range above the previous all-time high pivots. But as of now, I think a pullback is likely in store for the crypto space. On that note, thank you all for tuning into the video. Please give this video a like down below, share it, and visit my tradingcapital.ca Discord trading service, which will be in the comments below. Take care, everybody.